Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show you can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Oh.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
No, I have not seen the third, or rather the latest episode of WandaVision, because I haven't got around to watching it. I got in kind of late last night to be on the air. They premiered them on Friday on Disney Plus, Marvel Studios' WandaVision, their new show on Disney Plus. And on Fridays, I was busy yesterday and I wasn't able to see it. But I will watch it today, so I'll be capable and able and prepared to discuss it and talk about it next, which I understand explains a whole lot more. You know, I've got people that were watching that show, and they're impatient with it, and they're like, oh, I don't like this WandaVision. They're not explaining things and letting things out and letting us know what's going on fast enough. And I'm like, come on, people, quit complaining. It's a television show. It's not an instant gratification Avengers film. With the budget and the cadence of storytelling, the way a movie's put together. This is a television event. This is a series, so you got to watch it and let things unfold in front of you like you're peeling an onion.
People just want to be told everything.
I mean, if you're that upset about it, don't watch it and wait, and then watch all of them in a row one night. That's what you're used to doing.
Yeah, fine. If that's how you have to do it, don't bother actively engaging your brain while you're watching.
And I'm talking about adults that are our age saying it, not just kids. I understand kids going, because kids didn't grow up like we did, watching a weekly episode of Little House on the Prairie, and we got to wait till next week to understand what's going on in the show and the story progresses. And what would they have done back then at the season finale, where you had to wait for a long time for it to premiere about the cliffhanger? You were left dangling.
Come back next fall.
Who shot JR? I don't know. Come on.
I don't have a lot of patience for people that don't want to let a story unfold.
That think Lord of the Rings ripped off Harry Potter. You don't have a lot of patience.
Those people are funny.
Kids like that.
I don't know that I want to be in a room with that person, but it was funny.
History started when I was born. Don't you know that, Alan?
It's the group of people that just want to be shown things. Just tell me what to think. Show me what I should be looking at. Don't actually ask me to use my brain.
I am enjoying, and it's only we're only just a few episodes into it. I am really into WandaVision. I think it's
I'm only on
funny.
The first three. You and I think we're all caught up on the first three. I haven't watched the latest release. I usually watch it on Saturday.
So we're coming from the same standpoint here today, so that's good. I haven't seen the newest one either. Yeah. It's funny. It's entertaining. It's creepy in a way. The whole thing about it is everybody's like, it's like an old sitcom. I'm like, well, that's the point, and I'm sure it will be explained to you if you just stick with it and shut your yap.
Right.
And just watch it. Come on. So I understand this episode takes us quite further into the story to see exactly what was going on. We kind of got that at the end of the last one. Kind of knew, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? Now we're finally it's going to pay off. Just stick with it, people, and be patient. Be patient, young Jedi. Isn't that what a Jedi is supposed to be? Patience.
Right.
Take your own Star Wars advice. If you're a Star Wars fan, be patient.
People can't.
Meditate. And that's bled over into our people our age, because I'm like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be acting this way. You're the same age I am.
What's wrong with you?
You're acting like a 16, 15-year-old kid right now. So speaking on there, hi, everybody. How you doing? I've got a lot coming up on the program today. I've got Alan Sanders here with me on the other side of the microphone and the other mic over there, keeping that chair warm. By the way, I want to tell you this. I went hiking day before yesterday, and we had just had and as you well know, we just had a huge 2 or 3 day, pretty huge rain event here in the southeastern Georgia, or at least over North Georgia. And I went to one of my favorite hiking spots, and this spot has a pretty big creek that runs through it, and also out in the middle of this hiking area, it's really huge, but in the middle of it, it's got like an offshoot of where the water comes off of the creek sometimes and forms its own little side waterway that goes off, and it puddles up here and there in the middle of the woods. And when I was hiking day before yesterday, in the middle of the day in this park, the noise was deafening when I was in there. And the noise that was deafening were the frogs.
Really?
Out there in that little ponded water area. I mean, I bet there's a billion. I guess they've just been born. New little young frogs or whatever. I hadn't heard it the week before because I hike it pretty regularly.
Uh-huh.
I heard like a billion. It was almost like, hey, I had to talk like this over the frogs. I had to yell over the frog noise out there when you got close. There were a billion frogs out there.
It seems like it'd be early for frogs.
I know, and it's still kind of really cold. It was cold yesterday. It's going to be cold again Monday, at least, according to our forecast. But there were a billion frogs out there making the loudest croaking noises. I mean, you can just tell there's a bunch of them out there.
Wow.
So I don't know if we're going to be overrun by frogs this summer, which is pretty inoffensive creature. We don't have to worry too much about them unless you saw the movie Frogs.
When you go through the plagues of the Bible, frogs is one of them.
Is frogs one of them? I know locust was one of them. Are there frogs
Locusts
too?
and frogs, yeah.
But what do frogs do other than eat the locusts?
You would think the problem fixes itself.
It's like, come on, would this cancel each other? Hey, I saw the Mummy. I know how that works. They didn't use the frogs, though, in Mummy, though. But the water ran red with blood, though, and seen. So I saw a ton of frogs, and when I was walking around, I heard I kind of walking in the woods, and you'll hear something off to the side, and you're like, well, there's a critter moving around there, maybe a deer, maybe a squirrel or something, or a chipmunk. Mm-hmm. I looked over. Something had moved, and I looked over to the right, and just because we have a carved out path in the park, but on each side it's pretty thick woods, and I heard that noise, and I looked off to the side, and there was a rabbit there. Just kind of, he saw me. I guess he noticed me after he moved, and he froze.
Like, oh.
And he was the size of a small child.
Big rabbit,
huge rabbit that I've ever seen before. And I'm like, what's going on in 2021? Is it going to be the movie Day of the Animals?
Or Night of the Leaper?
They come up on me. Oh, you're talking about Night of the Lupus with the giant rabbits.
Yes, with DeForest Kelley.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you remember that he's in that movie. That was, bing, here's a point for you.
I started watching it because of Bones. I was like, oh, Dr. McCoy's in this.
He's going to solve the mystery.
And I was like, what am I watching? These are like domestic rabbits on a miniature set. What is going on?
What was our fascination with giant regular animals in the 70s? What was the other movie called Food of the Gods? Remember that one? Where all the giant rats. The rats grew to like bigger than we were.
No, but I remember.
That's a problem.
I mean, that was a big thing with the monster movies as well. Like when the giant ants.
Yep.
And then was it them?
Them with exclamation point. Yeah.
Them.
Then they had the movie called. What's the other one called? Oh, Empire of the Ants with Joan Collins in the 70s.
I remember
them
that.
was in the 50s. But then in the 70s, Empire of the Ants was Joan Collins.
What was the spider movie with William Shatner where it ends with the whole town's been
that wasn't giant spiders. That was just a swarm
of regular spiders.
Kingdom of the Spiders.
Kingdom of the Spiders.
So, hey, give him a break. That's when Shatner was going through his era where he had to take any role he could get.
He's like, DeForest, I saw your movie.
That's exactly what he did.
I'm all in.
I got kids to pay for.
I can beat that. I can beat that.
He did a movie called Impulse once where he's a serial killer. And if you ever get a chance to watch that, make sure you haven't eaten anything first because you'll throw up because it's so bad. But it's just so fun to watch from its just B-movie status. It's BK on the Air. We'll continue this talk and a lot of other stuff. We're going to talk about Cloris Leachman passing away, and we'll hear from the Golden Rage of TV when we return. It's BK on the Air.
We'll return after these announcements.
We now have first-person intel from inside the Westview anomaly.
What are we looking at here? Is it an alternate reality, time travel?
It's a sitcom.
Starring 2 Avengers?
It's a working theory.
Well, I know the apron is a bit much, dear, but I am doing my best to blend in.
Hello, dear.
Hiya, kids. Hiya, kiddos. Life moves pretty fast out in the suburbs.
I think something's wrong here.
Should we just take it from the top?
Wanda.
I don't know how any of this started.
What is outside of Westview?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. It's probably just a case of the Mondays. Is this really happening?
Yes, my love.
Are you crying?
But I'm invested.
Something funny's going on.
Yes, something funny's always going on with the Brady Bunch.
Gosh, hey, that's some special kiss.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I did. Uh-oh.
They wouldn't get me into one of those suits, even if they promised me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation with Cary Grant.
A Funny Bunch, The Brady Bunch. Every week on ABC.
It really works.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Twin Peaks, created by director David Lynch and screenwriter Mark Frost, ran on ABC from 1990 through 91 for a total of 43 episodes. The show blended a murder mystery, the paranormal, comedy, and horror, all accompanied by a great musical score. With ties to popular classic TV shows, actor Michael Aunt Keene from the crime drama The Rookies was cast as Sheriff Harry S. Truman. An actress from another popular classic crime series was the beautiful Peggy Lipton from The Mod Squad. She played Norma Jennings, owner of the Double R Diner, well known for its cherry pie and damn fine cup of coffee. Russ Tamblyn and Richard Beimer co-starred on the show just as they had in the 1961 Oscar-winning film West Side Story. Producers had famed director and huge fan Steven Spielberg slated to direct the first episode of Season 2. But reportedly, David Lynch decided to use his veto power, ultimately directing it himself. The show introduced television audiences to Kyle MacLachlan, who had forged a working relationship with Lynch by previously starring in both his cult classic feature films, Blue Velvet and Dune. But it was his Twin Peaks portrayal of Special Agent Dale Cooper which won Kyle a 1992 Golden Globe for Best Actor in a TV Series. That same year, Twin Peaks also won for Best Drama Series, and Piper Laurie took home one for the Best Supporting Actress. Entertainment Weekly gave the show an A+, and Time magazine called it the most hauntingly original work ever on American TV. And in 1997, TV Guide ranked the Twin Peaks pilot episode at number 25 in the 100 best TV episodes of all time. This is Pat McCormick with your Retro TV trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. You can also find me on YouTube and Facebook at Golden Rage of TV, and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
Thank you, Pat. We're coming back. I'm still talking over. That's okay. We
You did that on purpose.
We can keep talking. Yeah, I can do that on. It's not the news show. I can do that here. Kind of surprising. We were talking off the air about how Pat was talking about David Lynch. I've never been a big, huge David Lynch director fan. I know he's got his own style, and I know that I like directors that some people don't like, but he's one of those where I'm like, he has his place in cinematic directorial legendary history, I guess, but he was one where I didn't really seek out his work to watch. But I actually, when Dune first came out, when I first saw it, we continued this conversation we're having, I didn't really get it, and I thought it was odd because I think everybody was kind of expecting Star Wars or something.
That's the problem with almost all the other sci-fi that came out after Star Wars.
Star Wars has kind of ruined things, not in a but in a weird way. I don't mean in a bad way, but in a weird way.
I know what you mean. I mean,
Star
you're
Wars
right.
When something came out.
You're
when
right.
the first Star Trek film came out, people expected Star Wars, and they're like, this is not Star
Close
Wars.
Encounters. I thought I was expecting Star Wars. Anytime I saw sci-fi when I was a kid, I was expecting it to be like
and firing and
that it was supposed to be sci-fantasy. Well, there's sci-fantasy.
Right.
And then there's science fiction. It's a little more gritty, a little more real. Sometimes they were really deep, and it would take a while. Like Alien is a great sci-fi movie.
And horror movie.
It just happens to be a gothic horror set in space.
Dune grew on me over the years, though. I didn't really like it when it first came out. My friends that read the book and went, I love Dune. I can't wait to go see it. We went to see it, and they're like, I don't understand what's going on. I'm like, you read the book. What are you talking about?
That's funny because it made more sense once I didn't read the book, but I had played a game called Dune that came out as a video game on the Commodore.
Did it have the look of the movie, the stuff looked like in the film?
They tried.
They did? Okay.
And once the video game explained a lot more of what the spice was, how it was used to help with interspace travel, how their beings and the worms. I was like,
the navigators.
And then I went back and rewatched the version. This is with Sting we're talking about, and a very young Patrick Stewart who still had no hair.
He never did.
And I was like, okay. And I said, there's 3 versions of the David Lynch movie. There was the shortened one for the theater that you just get lost. They cut way too much out. Then they put out another one that I really liked.
That I think that David Lynch approved of, I think, was the...
Because there was another one, I don't know which one.
There was a 4-hour version where he had his name taken off of it and the director name Alan Smithy was put on it. That's what directors do when they want to take their name off of a movie. They put
whatever
Alan Smithy
that long... That made it as bad as the one they took too much out?
Because they put, they interspersed, paintings with it.
There's so much stuff that...
So much.
I was like, wait a minute, now I'm getting lost again.
I'm falling
but that
asleep.
middle one, I was like, okay... Now that I have a little bit more of a backstory, I got the movie a lot more.
Well, to get back to David Lynch, that was the point I was trying to make. Dune has grown on me over the years. Now I'm like, it's so the sheer spectacle and the sets and the work that went into this movie and the way it looks and the way it was shot and the way it was done. It is
and all practical effects at the time.
Masterpiece of a movie. You got to put it together like that. It's great. And my other when people ask me about David Lynch, I'm like, my favorite David Lynch movie is and always has been with John Hurt is The Elephant Man, because to me it was just it's the one work that he did was the most approachable. It's telling the kind of the true story of John Merrick, the deformed man with the problem that he had back then and what he had to go through. Anthony Hopkins, one of the early Anthony Hopkins films, he's in it. And it was I think if I'm not mistaken, it was a Brooks film. Mel Brooks, I think, financed The Elephant Man. I'll have to look it up and see, but I think it was part of Brooks.
I think you're absolutely right.
Films, I think was one of his works, because John Morris did the music for Elephant Man, the guy that did usually the music for all the Mel Brooks films. So a little David Lynch for you. I never watched Twin Peaks. Never tried to watch it back in the 80s when people were like, "Oh man, you got to watch Twin Peaks," and I'm watching it and I'm like, I just couldn't get into it.
I do want to go back. I never watched a single episode, so I have no idea what it's about.
You may like it or may still not. You may not like it,
but
who can tell?
People that I trust with what they like have liked it. Now, that doesn't mean I will like it, because some of those same people like The Office, and I'm like, I still can't figure out why that's any good.
Right.
But for the most part, I think we're both at a point where, rather than critics, we kind of look at the people that we've had good advice from.
Yeah.
We know it's still going to be a hit or miss every now and then, but like if you tell me a movie's good, I'm like, okay, if BK liked it, I'll probably like it. If Walt says he liked it, I'll probably. That doesn't mean I'm guaranteed to like it, but I'll trust those insights more.
Well, now, and be careful with me, because I drift into the B movie category sometimes.
But I'm aware of when it's one of those kind of movies.
Some people don't like movies that are B movies only because it's not a good, well-done movie. I'm like, well, I can separate the two. I can think, okay, this is a B movie. It was meant to be one. For what it's meant to be, it's great. Right. No, of course it's not an Academy Award-winning movie, but some people can't separate the two, and if a B movie comes out and they see it, they're like, that movie's terrible. I'm like, yeah, but it's not terrible. You don't get it. Now, some of them are just bad. There are some movies where I remember one example is back in the early 90s or late 80s. Home video it wasn't in its infancy anymore, but it was still rather new. Everyone still had VCRs in the late 80s. Vanilla Ice made a movie called Cold as Ice that came out. Do you remember that movie I'm talking about?
I remember the name, never saw it.
And we were looking for a movie one night to go, let's just rent a movie to make fun of. It's just sometimes we do that. We'd go, let's go to Blockbuster, let's go to our local video store. That's dating me.
Play your own version of MST3K.
Let's find a couple of the worst ones that we know are bad anyway, and let's just rent them, get some popcorn, get some whatever, take them home, and let's just watch the movie and rip this thing and have fun and MST3000 it to death while we're watching it. I mean, we were doing MST3000 before it was even cool. So we rented, I think it was Cold as Ice or Cool as Ice or whatever with Vanilla Ice. We couldn't even get through the first 30 minutes of that film without turning it off. It was some movies are so incredibly bad that you can't even do that to. I mean, they're just horrible. That was one of them. Please don't waste your time with that one. Thumbs down from me on Cool as Ice.
I think the only movie my wife and I did that where we had no money invested or anything. It was just on.
Yeah.
It was the third Liam Neeson Taken movie, Taken 3.
Oh, Cool as Ice is worse than that. It's worse than that.
And we watched the first 10 minutes, and I said, babe, I'm not into this at all. It's every cliche. It is so dumb.
And it wasn't even a B movie. It was a pretty expensive action film. They spent some money on it.
Yeah.
It was doing a poor imitation of the first two films. You're right.
I just remember thinking, and maybe we were just in a weird place. You ever go do that where you start to watch a movie, but you're in the wrong frame of mind, and you walk away going, that was dumb, and then you go back sometime later, you watch, you go, now why did I think this movie was dumb? Because I know I was like that with Fifth Element. For me, the first time I saw the Fifth Element, I was like, what? This doesn't. I didn't enjoy it at all.
Right.
And for whatever reason, I decided to go back and watch it again. And for me, that's an example of a movie that I'm like, wait a minute, how did I not get it the first time? And now I love the movie. I think it's great.
I didn't have that realization of that epiphany of Fifth Element. I still don't like the movie, but I had the story you told about that movie just now is the same exact story I can tell about when I first saw Starship Troopers. Mm-hmm. The sci-fi movie Starship Troopers. When I first saw it, I came this close to walking out of the theater. I'm like, what is this goofy guy that made RoboCop?
Like, come on, take it seriously.
Yeah, what's going on here? And it has really nothing to do. I read it has really nothing to do with the book.
No,
Robert Heinlein wrote. It's just they just bought the title so they could use it.
And
it's got
a
few elements of it in there, but yeah, and that's it. But over the years, I've actually come to appreciate Starship Troopers as one of the best World War II films ever made. When you watch it in that context,
like it's mocking.
Yeah, it is
what would have been. your kind of propaganda of the day.
And when I saw it, I later on saw it on a really crisp, wonderful Blu-ray copy at someone's house. I watched it with the sound and everything. The movie is beautiful. The effects are great.
It's
the
a spectacle.
Music score by Basil Poledouris, the guy who composed the music for Conan and Hunt for Red October, he did the music for it. And the score is great. The acting, Denise Richards is in it. We'll have to forgive her.
She's not all that great. The lead guy wasn't great.
She's only good to look at, I guess. But Casper Van Diem, yeah, that was him, yeah. But Michael Ironside is the tough-nosed.
He was the best part of that.
And Clancy Brown is the drill sergeant. He was great too. Of course,
that was
good
cool.
Anything, too. But now I watch when Starship Troopers is on. I have to stop.
See, to me, that is a high-budget B movie. Like, that is meant to be a B movie, but with a lot of money. To me, Tremors was like that. Tremors is like a B movie.
Right.
But you're like,
it looked good.
Why is this movie so much fun? It's a dumb movie, but it's so much fun.
Tremors was really good. That was another one of those where you're like, this movie is about weird underground creatures that are causing little earthquakes and people loading up their shotguns going, yeah, you got the 30-06? Yeah, let's go pick it up.
Oh, when you had Michael Gross hot on the heels of Family Ties and Reba McEntire as the gun nuts? How do you not like that?
You were in it. Fred Ward was in it. I'm just kidding.
Stop now. You're going to provoke him.
I'm poking the hornet's nest.
He's going to call in.
Poking the hornet's nest. He's going to call. Speaking on there, we got a little free movie talk there. That was fun to explore that area. It was David Lynch started that whole discussion.
We can blame our friend Pat.
We're going to flash the audience when we come back after the break. We're also going to talk about a beloved actress that passed away, Cloris Leachman. She had a great career. What a run that she had. BK on the air.
This is Evel Knievel and the Evel Knievel shock-absorbing stunt cycle. You can make them do wheelies, backstands, even mid-air somersaults. And for that big jump, here's Evel, up and over that 4-foot ditch. Evel Knievel, sold separately or with the Evel Knievel stunt cycle from Ideal.
Tony.
Mama.
You look hungry. Come start your good breakfast with Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes cereal. The secret frosting makes it extra crunchy, extra delicious.
I know. Flakes of corn with just the right amount of frosting for kids and adults.
How did I teach you to say it?
It's great.
You may be Mr. Breakfast to the rest of the world, but you know what you are to me.
Your widow, Tony.
I'm so proud of him. Sit up straight.
We're back here at WBHF with Nostalgic Talk Radio for 2 hours every Saturday. I lock the front door to the radio station, don't let anybody in, because I know they're going to rush down here as soon as they know I flip the button and go on the air. But it's that wonderful time that we like to call when we flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. And you know they're all true because I got them off the internet. Oh, I think you have the first news flash, don't you?
Do I have the first one?
You do.
Oh, you didn't
tell you.
Sorry. I was waiting.
Well, spring
all right, I've got the first news.
You pop up out of the chair like that.
No, I was sort of riding along on the show. I was just listening, but
hold on to the ring.
And I have a feeling I know why you gave me this one, because it starts off with a Lord of the Rings themed scene constructed from Lego pieces and other mini bricks broke a Guinness World Record after being measured at, check this out, BK, 2,060 square feet and 71 square inches. Yeah, the diorama of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth at the Smaerdland Children's Museum. I guess it's Smaerd. S-M-A-E-R-D. S-M-A. Smaerd?
What's the name of the thing on the Lord of the Rings? Smaug?
Smeagol. Well, Smaug is the name of the... Yeah, you're supposed to put Smaug.
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 That's how that kind of sounds.
Smaug.
Like.
The Smaerdland Children's Museum in Shenzhen, China, was completed this month after 3 years of construction. The scene, which was constructed by a team of more than 40 designers and engineers, set the Guinness record for the largest interlocking plastic brick diorama. The diorama, which was built as part of the museum's Blocks Kingdom exhibit, features about 150 million plastic bricks.
And you know what's interesting? I've been to a few of those G.I. Joe collector toy shows downtown Atlanta, and people make dioramas. They're little small scenes of vignettes of things from movies and instances in history. For people to make fun of those, that's fine. Like, oh, look, they spent like hours making this diorama. How stupid. You ever taken a real close look at those things, at the detail that goes into some of that?
It's pretty amazing.
And you're talking about Legos. I never did have Legos when I was a kid, and I think I had Tinker toys. I never had Erector sets, and I never had Legos.
I didn't have Erector, but I had Legos. But I had Tinker toys.
I couldn't really. I don't guess I had the aptitude to do that. Tinker toys were pretty simple. They had the little wooden things with holes, and you stuck the sticks in there, and that was it. You just built whatever. So. Lincoln Logs. Lincoln Logs weren't that hard to play with because they fit together. You could kind of look at, I'm looking at the box at the cabin, so if I stack them like this, like it is on the box, I could just copy what's on the box.
I knew I was not going to be a mechanical engineer when it took my cousin when I was like 5 who said, you can make a wall stronger by interlocking the blocks. I used to make just long, and they would fall over because I was like, they wouldn't,
no support.
I didn't know that. I didn't think about it. And as a kid, you'd think I'd figure that one out on my own.
I never figured it out.
Took some 9-year-old to teach me as a 5-year-old. If you stack them interlocked, I'm like, I thought that was the greatest invention in the world. Oh my God, the walls stay up.
On the flip side, I kicked major butt with silly putty though. I could copy those comic books, that ink with that silly putty and stretch them. I was a master at that. That was great. And light brights. I always had fun with my light bright thing too. So if it didn't require a lot of aptitude in engineering. I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I could pour a bowl of cereal without spilling any milk.
I was good at that.
I could do that, too.
I still can.
You can do that because you both spill that cereal. This is from UPI. Facebook has apologized after visitors to a popular seaside landmark in Britain found their posts removed because the name of the location was confused for an offensive term. Here's another one of these. We're outsmarting ourselves. Members of Facebook group based in Plymouth, England, said posts that mentioned the name of a Plymouth hoe were removed, it's H-O-E, by the social media site, and some users found their accounts temporarily suspended on accusations of using offensive language. The name of the landmark comes from the Anglo-Saxon word hoe, which describes a sloping ridge shaped like an inverted foot and heel, H-O-E. Yeah.
I thought that's what Lionel always used to say in the Thundercats. Thundercats, ho!
Thundercats. Inverted foot and heel.
Yeah, that doesn't flow off the tongue as easily.
As opposed to HOA, which is a whole different thing in a subdivision. Facebook admitted the word was mistakenly confused for offensive speech, leading to posts being removed finally. Quote,
"These posts were removed in error, and we apologize to those who were affected. We're looking into what happened and will take steps to rectify the error, and also apologize to BK for suspending him for posting a picture of Jackie Gleason."
A Facebook representative stated. There.
Stupid Facebook.
Oh, I can't believe this. Buy a dictionary.
There's people who don't know the meanings of words, but they want to hear words that don't exist.
Get a Funkin' Wagnalls
Careful, say that very carefully.
You know that they put that on Facebook? There's a Buck Rogers clip from the old, and we got a Buck Rogers story coming up, by the way. Funny you should mention last week that they should make a Buck Rogers TV series. It looks like they're going to do that. Buck Rogers' old TV show, and we all know Buck. The history of the Buck Rogers television show is he was frozen. He was suspended animation in his spaceship when he got frozen and launched from Earth. And then
he's really old.
Thawed him out 500 years later. Well, he's flying around in one of the later episodes, and he's with this new squadron of the fighter spacecraft. And a guy says something weird, and Buck said, he goes, "Hey, buddy, I don't know if you've kept up on current events, but you need to check your Funkin' Wagnalls on that." And people, today go, "Did you hear this old clip of Buck Rogers? He's using profanity." I'm like, "No, he's not. You don't know what that is, and that's not what he's saying." It was a brand of encyclopedia like Britannica.
I can tell you what my brother and I used to call it when we were kids.
What'd you used to call it?
It still started with an F and a W, but
okay. You have to tell me off the air then.
I will. Definitely. This is not podcast territory. I've got the next news. All right, this is a little closer to home. Police in Georgia said traffic was halted on a ramp connecting two highways when a loose cow wandered into traffic.
As if they didn't make fun of us already, I had to throw this one in there. Great.
Georgia. The Savannah Police Department said the ramp from eastbound I-16 to Interstate 516 was closed shortly after noon Tuesday when a cow wandered onto the highway. Animal control officers were summoned to help capture the bovine. "Thanks to your patience while we move it out of the way," the department tweeted. I did not add the O's for emphasis. That was the tweet.
I wonder if they had a problem with a cow turd while they were cleaning that up or getting him off the ramp.
The police department tweeted an update about an hour later saying the cow had been safely removed from the ramp and it was being reopened.
Well, thank goodness.
And apparently there was a steakhouse that was thankful for some fresh beef newly delivered.
Right.
I like
don't
steak.
Even make more people mad. What? People eat cows every day.
Every day.
Every day. And chickens, too. I got the next news. Fishing. A designer of safety equipment for motorcyclists unveiled his latest invention this week. Jeans fitted with airbags to prevent leg injuries during crashes. Now, I laughed at this initially, but I'm thinking, wait a minute. That's actually not a bad idea. Moses Shavrikar, who has been designing motorcycle safety jeans since partnering with Harley Davidson Sweden 16 years ago, said his latest invention uses similar technology to airbag-equipped vests that are currently on the market, protecting a rider's chest, back, and neck in crashes. I didn't even know about that. I knew, helmet. That's right. We've been paying attention to the head for so long with helmets. We've been neglecting other parts of the body.
Great. My head works, but I don't have any skin left on 90% of my body. I left it all behind.
Water, like in Futurama, I can still talk to you. Now, the jeans, which he demonstrated in a YouTube video posted on the official account of his motorcycle brand, that's how they're branded, they're tethered to the rider's motorcycle, and when the tether is pulled, airbags deploy up and down the wearer's legs to cushion an impact. This actually sounds pretty cool. Only one prototype of the airbag inside Sweden AB jeans currently exists, but he is in the process of getting the jeans certified to European Union health and safety standards and hopes to bring them to market in the year 2022. Well, that's only a year away.
In all honesty, that's kind of cool.
That is cool because, like you were saying, when you fell off a motorcycle, and by the way, I always wore a helmet when I had a motorcycle. I had a motorcycle for years. And even if I went to a state, because not all states require them in the United States, whenever I'd go to another state without a helmet, I'd still take it. Because I'm
it makes no sense.
We're so cool, man. South Carolina, we don't need motorcycle helmets on a motorcycle. I'm like, well, good luck when you fall off and get hit or something. Yeah, right. They'll be scraping. Well, whatever. Put it in the jar.
It's the ultimate bubble. Bubblicious. It's the ultimate bubble. Soft and juicy. It's the ultimate bubble. So delicious. It's the ultimate bubble. It's the ultimate bubble. Bubblicious.
Act. Chat. In. Chin. Ick, chick, arm, charm, ease, cheese, act, chat, in, chin, ick, chick, arm, charm, ease, cheese.
That was a fun game. Alan was just talking about, we're talking about motorcycles and stuff off the air, and you just brought up the video game Spy Hunter, which I thought was great, and it played the Peter Gunn theme.
Peter Gunn,
which was used. That theme was used in so many movies. John Hughes liked to use it in some of his movies and stuff of the 80s, the Peter Gunn theme. But kids really didn't know what it was. They just thought it was a cool piece of music.
Doesn't it always evoke spies or sneaking around?
Yeah, he was a detective. He was like a private eye.
I wasted so much money in Spy Hunter.
Spy Hunter was a fun, one of those rare.
I don't know if you could ever get to the end, but I never got to whatever that would be.
You know what my favorite thing on Spy Hunter, my favorite weapon was the turbo smoke screen thing. It made you go fast, but smoke came out of the back and
when you got a bunch of enemies behind you that you forgot to wipe out, and they all catch up on you, like, uh-oh.
Had a horrible, loud screeching noise when you'd spin out and crash.
I loved when you had to time ramming them without the little spinny wheels that would pop your tires. You had to be careful. If they came out, you'd wipe out. But if you hit them just right, you could break them, and they wouldn't come out again. And then you could ram them off the road. I felt like I was playing Road Warrior.
Spy Hunter.
Like that. I think I discovered that video game right at the same time I watched The Road Warrior.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's been about the right time.
Any kind of racing game, we were just like, well, we're just here to race and crash. Right?
We're just playing.
I remember my buddy, still my lifelong best friend, Eric, up in Michigan, we got in trouble at a go-kart track because we thought we could play Mad Max on the go-kart track, and you're not supposed to do that.
What?
Yeah, we were trying to ram each other off the track. Are you looking for it? Did you find it?
I'm looking for it. You can do the next news if you want to. Look for it because I want to. Now you got me interested. I want to hear it.
Okay, well,
okay.
yeah, I got the next news. It's a leftover news.
Multitask.
It's a leftover news flash. I think this is the last one. Yeah, okay. The New Jersey Supreme Court has overturned a man's bank robbery conviction because of a prosecutor's reference to a classic horror movie. During closing arguments in the case against Damon Williams, the prosecutor showed jurors a photo from the movie The Shining, depicting a character played by Jack Nicholson telling his terrified wife and son, "Here's Johnny," moments after breaking through a door with an axe. Well, the reference was meant to illustrate that actions can speak louder than words and to support the prosecutor's contention that Williams should be convicted of a more serious offense, even though no threatening words were spoken to the bank teller in Camden County back in 2014. The jury convicted Williams of second-degree robbery, which requires the use of force or the threat of force rather than the less serious crime of third-degree theft. Prosecutors argued that Williams' conduct before and after passing a note to the teller supported the more serious charge. Williams is currently serving a 14-year term. A unanimous Supreme Court disagreed Tuesday, writing that prosecutors must walk a fine line when comparing a defendant with an individual whom the jury associates with violence or guilt. The use of a sensational and provocative image in service of such a comparison, even when purportedly metaphorical, heightens the risk of an improper prejudicial effect on the jury, said Justice Lee Solomon. Such a risk was borne out here. Yeah, comparing me to Jack Nicholson going crazy, wanting to chop up my family, might prejudice the jury. The Camden County Prosecutor's Office, which tried the case, declined to comment on the ruling.
Sure they did.
Oh, that's from the video game.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh, I am now...
That's right. Flashing back.
I'm in the arcade.
Playing Spy Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Good old Peter Gunn theme.
Through a 8-bit processor.
But it was great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go.
Machine gun, firing. The bad guys.
He skidded a little bit on the oil there.
He did, yeah.
I can tell by the noises.
Wonderful Spy Hunter.
You hear that engine revving up? Sounds like an electronic.
This guy's doing really good. He's not even shooting anybody while he's playing the game here.
I don't hear him ramming anybody off the road, though.
Oh, he ran over some water.
Yeah, careful.
So, yeah,
careful. Don't lose control.
Little Spy Hunter there for you to take you back.
I got to find an emulator. I'm going to have to go look for that this afternoon. I'll waste my entire afternoon looking for an emulator and that video game to see if I can play it on my computer.
That would be great, though.
Use the mouse. Left mouse is machine gun, right is smoke or oil or whatever.
Well, we had an actress pass away this week.
Yeah,
we're going to miss very much so for several reasons.
New comedies, dramas. Here are the shows and their stars.
Phyllis hopes to find, by going to San Francisco, a cosmopolitan situation where she can keep growing, develop new friends, and enlarge her world.
Cloris Leachman has appeared in dozens of films, winning an Oscar for The Last Picture Show. For her television work, she has received 4 Emmys, 2 of them for the role of Phyllis on The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Having killed off poor Lars,
we talked to her about the new Phyllis show in a Beverly Hills boutique.
I will now be more sympathetic and vulnerable, and people will worry more about me.
Mr. Carlson, my husband died over 3 weeks ago, and as yet I have not received any money from your company.
Well, I'm afraid that Lars is not entitled to any death benefits.
What does he have to do to qualify?
Phyllis is going to change in our new show because she's now going to have to find a way to take care of herself and live in the world of reality.
What about that public relations job you saw in this morning's paper?
Oh, I wasn't right for that. They're trying to fill their minority quotas. What they're looking for is a half-Oriental, half-Mexican gay atheist. Phyllis is living with her in-laws in San Francisco, and I think they are very understanding of her plight.
I remember the first time Lars brought you home to dinner. I said to myself, he can't be serious.
Phyllis had such a strong love with her husband that it now stays with her throughout her bereavement.
I knew Lars as a boy and as a man, and I always thought he was one of the most generous, considerate,
thoughtful, kind, and decent men I'd ever known.
Oh, go suck an egg.
Cloris Leachman, television show Phyllis, that actually spun off of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Her character Phyllis, I think she said she won an Emmy for her portrayal of Phyllis on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. I'm going to get more in depth into her after the top of the hour when we come back after the Channel Star Wars report, because it's way too lengthy to get into here. We'll just kind of talk. We'll reminisce about her up to the top of the hour. But I was appeared on your podcast, The Wilder Ride, and we talked about.
We had those minutes with her.
And we could not do it with her in the scene. Could not do it without pointing out her life and her achievements and her comedy and her comedic timing and all that she had done. And it was good. I'm glad that she was part of the minutes that I was on the Wilder Ride. She was a fascinating, funny lady and talented.
What I love about her, and I think in a more modern version, what I love about more than one thing about Charlize Theron, Charlize has been my hottie. Like, she's just
right. Yeah,
she's hot.
She's
also a fantastic actress.
She is, and you rarely get that together.
The one thing that Charlize can do that Cloris Leachman used to do, she had no problem uglying herself up or making herself look unattractive for the role. Like, she didn't worry that people would go, "You're uglying yourself. You're making yourself look horrible." And she's like, "I don't care. That's the part.
I'm an actress.
That's what I'm supposed to do." I know. You and I know. We've known actors like, "Well, I'm not taking that part. That makes me look bad." Well, it's not about you. It's about the character.
Well, my dad said there were always two types of people in Hollywood: actors, actresses, and movie stars. They were two different types.
Yeah.
Movie stars were the later type.
I always have to look pretty. I always have to be the hero. Always have to be dressed nice.
Celebrity movie star, which nothing wrong with that.
No.
That's fine.
But Cloris Leachman, in fact, I don't know that I ever heard her regular voice until much later, because every movie I ever saw her in, she would do something with her voice. She would do something with an accent. She always had weird costuming, weird makeup, but it was always funny. She was always great. Everything I ever saw her in. First thing I remember seeing Cloris Leachman in, and I didn't even know it was Cloris Leachman. I just knew she was High Anxiety, where she plays Nurse Diesel.
Yeah. Which is great.
It's like, and I think she must have based it a little bit off of Nurse Ratched, but just a weird version of it. But when she would do like the pasty white and she had like the spiked broad, it was like so funny. She was like, "He's late. He'd take away his cocktail." Like, his fruit cocktail. And she talked like her jaw was wired shut.
And when she was the French lady in History of the World Part 1 with Mel Brooks, who was it was a nutty character too. And then Frau
Blucher.
Young Frankenstein. I mean, come on. But I don't know. We said not too long ago, you posted on Facebook and mentioned it, and it's going to be great, that very soon, if not already, but I think it's coming up, Disney Plus is going to premiere all the Muppet Show episodes.
All the classic Muppets.
Well, I think Cloris Leachman was on one. I think she guest starred on one. A lot of stars wanted to be on the Muppet Show. They fought to be on there because they wanted to be on there.
It's kind of like when The Simpsons, evereverybody wanted to be a Simpsons cameo.
And not everybody got to, which is great. That's a very coveted group.
No, Mark Hamill was on the Muppet Show. Lots
of Luke and Mark Hamill together as Luke Skywalker.
I am looking forward, because I know they rebooted it, and it was okay, and then they tried it again, it was horrible.
Right.
Nothing, I think, at least in my mind's eye.
The Muppet Show was genius.
The original Muppet Show, just genius. Awesome.
And also, the reason I bring that up is I think I definitely want to see, because I may have not seen it since its airing, is the Cloris Leachman episode. I think she did host one.
You know, I think the date that Disney has put out is the 16th of February.
Yeah, it hasn't premiered.
Not yet, but it's coming next month.
I think we actually mentioned that we heard talkings of that on a story that we talked about probably over a year ago on the show.
A lot of people were hoping Disney would do it, but there was no
There's still a lot of
plan.
stuff that are Disney that isn't on Disney Plus yet.
Think about all of the Touchstone pictures are all Disney.
Yep.
All of there's like 4 or 5 different labels they would put movies out under.
Right.
They're all still technically Disney.
And I think they're about to acquire Indiana Jones, I think, too, later on. I think there's a deal on the works for Indiana Jones stuff, which technically isn't that, but I think they're going to buy or get that under their umbrella.
They got to get it away from either Netflix, who has the rights right now. Sometimes the rights have to expire, and so even
they did with some of the Marvel movies too. For the longest time, some of the Ant-Man movies are still on Netflix, and some of the others they finally made it over to Disney Plus. But Cloris Leachman, we'll talk more about her career after we come back after the break, after the Channel Star Wars report. We'll talk about Cloris Leachman and things you may not know about her. It's BK on the air.
You are about to witness the most amazing man-made jewelry ever created. The original multicolor mood ring. This is the ring that senses your deepest feelings. Scientifically developed, the incredible chroma stone senses thermal changes deep within your body, reflects all your mood changes in a fascinating kaleidoscope of color, responding to your deepest secrets your most hidden emotions. The beautifully crafted multicolor mood ring reveals your subconscious feelings in a myriad of breathtaking color, from black to brown, yellow, green, to the most desired shade of violet blue. Discover the mysterious powers of the multicolor mood ring in elegant gold or silver tone settings. Dare to wear the original multicolor mood ring with the fascinating chroma stone. Only $5 while supplies last.
Just last night, I was lost in the jungle with Pitfall Harry, surrounded by giant scorpions and man-eating crocodiles.
Well, Harry and I just grabbed the van, swung through the trees, and over the tar pits and found the jungle treasure. It was really neat.
If you haven't met Pitfall Harry, you're missing the year's most incredible video game adventure. Pitfall for the Atari 2600 and in television.
Since I met Pitfall Harry, no other man will do.
Pitfall, designed by David Crane for Activision.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Hello and welcome to Star Wars Extra. Star Wars then, Star Wars now, Star Wars forever. I'm your host, Mike Mann.
This is the way.
The element of surprise has always been a key aspect in Star Wars. This week, Katie Sackhoff proved this to us while talking about filming The Mandalorian Season 2 with Christian Harloff on The Pod Show, The Sith Council. Sackhoff, who portrays Bo-Katan Kryze in Season 2, revealed that the cast in the Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian had no idea that Luke Skywalker was in the same room as them. Sackhoff revealed,
I didn't know until I saw it with you guys. They didn't tell us. There was an actor there with dots on his face.
Katie went on to say,
but it was a complete red herring. And so we didn't know. I knew it was a Jedi. I knew it was an X-Wing. So you start to put things together, but you don't know.
The full interview with Katie Sackhoff can be heard on the Sith Council podcast and viewed on the Sith Council show on Schmodown Entertainment Network's YouTube channel.
Reserve some for the foundlings.
As it should always be. The foundlings are the future. This is the way.
Also this week, the U.S. Postal Service released a series of postage stamps featuring a series of droids from across the Star Wars universe. As with any droid collection, R2-D2, C-3PO, and BB-8 are customary. Also included in the set are K2SO from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, D-O from Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Chopper from Star Wars Rebels, L337 from Solo, A Star Wars Story, IG-11 from The Mandalorian, a 2-1B medical droid, and to round off the series, a Gonk droid. The artwork on each of these is simply phenomenal and would make a nice addition to any Star Wars fan's collection. Star Wars Droids U.S. Postal Service stamp collections are available at USPS.gov and wherever stamps are sold.
This is the way.
And lastly this week, StarWars.com debuted the Star Wars High Republic show in support of the new series. If you're not sure what's going on with this new Star Wars title, worry not. Host Christina Ariel leaves no fact or subject unanswered as she eloquently narrates through the storyline. She also talks with a few of the authors about their works and perspectives on this new era of Star Wars. And yes, Yoda is there. Ariel also presents a special segment taking a look at Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge on Oculus Quest. Taking us through some of the gameplay, a few of the creators discuss what it took to create this masterpiece. And yes, Yoda is there. Unfortunately for us, Episode 2 will not be released until March. For now, though, Star Wars The High Republic show can be viewed on StarWars.com.
I am taking them to imprison them in prison.
Thanks for joining us for all the latest and greatest in Star Warsing. From Star Wars Extra, Star Wars Then, Star Wars Now, Star Wars Forever. I'm your host, Mike Mann, and now back to VK on the Air.
Thank you, Mike Mann, for that trip into the world of Star Wars to a galaxy far, far away. A lot happening in Star Wars. Now, he did mention I have the story here to talk about the USPS Postal Service doing the Star Wars stamps based on the droids. But I can throw that away
Yes,
because he talked about that. So
yeah,
it's
it's funny. I heard you crumpling it up earlier. Like, well, I don't have to do that. And then you're like, oh, crap, I want to read that.
He's
I hear you slowly opening it back up.
Oh, I threw it away. Well, you know how you can catch up on it is listen to the BK podcast. It'll replay the Channel Star Wars report, and you'll learn about it because, the Postal Service is making a new stamp collection line that will feature droids only. So there's a lot of droids they're going to come out with on that list. Let's do a little on this day in history, by the way. On this day, January 30th. On this day in history, 1873, Around the World in 80 Days was first published by Jules Verne on this day in history. On this day in history, January 30th, in 1933, The Lone Ranger begins its 21-year run on ABC Radio.
Wow.
That's 21 years on radio.
You know, when people say, I don't like classical music, and you say, you know, that piece of music from The Lone Ranger is a piece of classical
It's
music.
the William Tell Overture by Rossini, yes.
And he's like, wait, what?
It is?
It wasn't written for the show? I thought it was for The Lone Ranger. No, The Lone Ranger just
in
used
some
it.
movies, you're like, the sci-fi movie Forbidden Planet. That's The Tempest by Shakespeare. If you look at it, come on, things get snuck in there that you don't realize, which is kind of cool. On this day in history, 1956, Elvis Presley records his version of Blue Suede Shoes. Now, that's a song by Carl Perkins, who actually recorded it first and wrote it, I believe. But Carl, before his version came out, Carl was in a car accident, broke his leg or something like that and was hurt, went into the hospital, and then Elvis said, hey, you mind if I record that and sing it? And Carl's like, sure, he make money off of it, sell the song. And Elvis has just skyrocketed past and overshadowed Carl because of Carl's accident. So that was pretty unfortunate, but I'm sure he made some money off of it. 1968, another music date today, January 30th in history. Bobby Goldsboro records his biggest hit, Honey. Have you ever heard the song Honey? That's one of the saddest 1968 over into the 70s song I've ever heard in my life. If you ever hear it, it's just about a guy sings about his wife, Honey. He met her, they got married, had kids or whatever, and she dies in the song, and he planted a tree in her memory, and he just sings about the whole song about his wife dying, and it's just the saddest song that I've ever heard. It's like Shannon, the song by about the song Shannon. It's about about a dog that swims out to sea and never comes back. I guess it just gets lost in the tides or something. And it's just, when I was a kid, I thought the guy was singing about his girlfriend leaving him. Right. But now I literally listen to the lyrics of Shannon, and I'm like, it's a dog.
I'm trying to
drifted out into the sea. It's terrible.
I keep thinking of the Archies or something.
It's like it's kind of like that,
but it's not the same song.
It's like people that try their best. People that I knew older people when I was a kid. Now I know why they did it. But all they would do is get the obituaries on the newspaper and read it and go, "Guess who died?" Or listen, there used to be obituaries on the radio. We used to do them here on WBHF some years.
We still
back.
do.
We still do. We still do obituary reports
if they send them.
Wow, yeah. It's like it's just I don't want to hear who. The old days, that's the only way people knew how somebody died.
They was looking to see who you outlived.
Now you just wait and you don't get calls from that person anymore. It's like that person doesn't call me in like 5 years. I need.
Can someone do a wellness visit?
Exactly. January 30th, 1975, Erno Rubik applies for a patent for something.
Was it a cube?
It was called the Magic Cube. Later to be known as Rubik's Cube on this day in 1975. I didn't know the Rubik's Cube was that old. I don't think it really hit.
It didn't really hit till the 80s here in the U.S.
The patents are usually filed many years before, so people won't steal it from you. 1978, Mutual Broadcasting Network. This is pretty poignant here. The Mutual Broadcasting Network in 1978 begins airing on this day the Larry King Show on radio.
Oh wow! Having just recently died.
Yep. A little closer to modern day times here, January 30th, 2008. The movie, you just talked about the third Taken film. The first Taken film premiered today on this day in history in 2008. And in 2011, we lost one of the best motion picture composers of music in history. He did a lot of the James Bond movies, Dances with Wolves. John Barry passed away on this day. And on January 30th, 2011. Birthdays, Dick Martin from Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. Died in 2008. Today is Gene Hackman's birthday. We could do a whole show about Gene Hackman. What a fantastic actor Gene Hackman is. This is his birthday today. Charles S. Dutton, American actor, Alien 3, Crocodile Dundee 2, and other movies. Phil Collins, drummer and writer and producer from Genesis. Great music producer. And Christian Bale's birthday is today, British actor. I forgot he was in Empire of the Sun.
Happy birthday.
Empire of the Sun, which seems a kid.
Who are you waiting for?
Ice Cream Jones.
And new ice cream cone cereal.
My name's Ice Cream Jones. I'm bringing the kids my ice cream cones. A crunchy new cereal for breakfast. The great taste of ice cream cones. Whoa!
I'll have vanilla.
Give me chocolate chip.
They look like little ice cream cones.
And taste like them. The crunchy part of this nutritious breakfast. My name's Ice Cream Jones, with the great taste of ice cream cones. New ice cream cone cereal.
Computers are coming your way.
Computers? For paying bills?
Mothers, too.
Bah, humbug.
Wow. Let me try it.
Where is that stuff? I can't find our vacation plans.
Well, get organized, Dad, with a database management system.
A data what?
It's a computer program that helps you organize information, save it, and sort it so you can find what you want.
All that?
Sure. It's like a filing cabinet. I store a list of all my comic books, and the program even alphabetizes them for me. Tabby keeps track of all her tapes. Mom uses it to store her favorite recipes. And Stanley keeps a record of all the flowers he's planted and their scents. Not to mention our vacation plans.
Maybe it can help me with a household budget.
For tapes.
For recipes.
For flowers.
And lots of other stuff, all on one disk.
A database system is a great way to get organized.
See you soon.
We'll continue the this day in history. We've got a few more things to talk about here as we roll right along. 1981, the top TV show on television at this time. Well, for most of 1981. I chose 1981 because that's 40 years ago this year, 1981. You want to take a stab at what? And it's not WKRP, by the way. That's what's playing.
81, early
81,
80s.
What would be the number one show at the time? If you think about it, it's a choice between maybe three of them that was on all the time. I'm going to throw out three of them. And you can probably guess which one it was. Either 60 Minutes, The Dukes of Hazzard, or Dallas. Which was the number one show?
I was thinking Dallas because Dallas always was the top show everybody watched. So.
You're thinking Dallas, but is that the one you want to choose?
Yes, I'll go Dallas.
Okay, that's the right one. It was Dallas was the number one TV show. And today is a special day. It's not many national days today, but today I think we could probably celebrate this one. I almost did it this morning unknowingly that it was this day, but I had a biscuit instead for breakfast. It's National Croissant Day today.
Croissant?
And I love the croissants from Burger King. Sometimes you can order a biscuit or a croissant from them with the sausage, egg, cheese, or whatever. But I don't need an excuse to eat a croissant. Do you?
No.
You and your French background.
French background. You always like the croissant. You can put anything in it.
Did you tell me last week your mom speaks fluent French? Is she pretty fluent?
She speaks fluent French.
How much French can you speak?
None.
So you didn't pick up any from Mom at all growing up, really?
Didn't get a whole lot. I mean, I tried really, really hard. I actually have enough. I have enough English classes when I went to college to get an English degree, but the requirement was also 4/4 of a foreign language. I could only make it past the first two. When I got to French 3, I had to drop out. I'm like, I'm lost.
You took an English major. That explains why you use all them $20 words sometimes that you use, trying to press.
I use my tongue prettier then.
Yeah, that's right. Hold it easy there. That's nice.
No, but my mom just decided when she became an American, she was all in, and so when she raised her kids, didn't speak a lick of French.
So
we could have been bilingual, but we're not.
So so she couldn't speak French till later.
No, she couldn't speak English.
Oh, you said couldn't speak a lick of French. You mean a lick of English?
Sorry, she couldn't.
Really? So she learned French
when
first.
she came to America. She was all in and would refuse to speak French. She wanted to learn once she was English.
How old was she when she did that?
8.
Because I met your mom a couple of times, and she has no accent at all.
No, you can hear some of it, but it's only rarely. Like she'll do the whole Canadian more of the accent.
Is that how she sweet talked Mr. Sanders when they got married?
I don't know.
French talking.
The petite femme skunk. The rendezvous, no?
I think my dad was the Pepe Le Pew of that marriage.
I don't want to get you to thinking about romanticism between you and your parents.
Weird.
You don't want to think about that because that makes me. I don't want to.
Feels like it's cold in here. And I'm all shriveling. I
terrible.
I think my mom was thinking if I speak French, I'll confuse my kids. We know now. If you speak 2 languages early when kids are in that formative, it's actually better because then they can pick up on 2 languages and learn it better.
That was in my household. I grew up knowing English and improper Southern English, so I knew 2 languages.
I knew English and slang.
So we kind of did.
But I tried. I actually tried. For a while, I was really close to understanding more than being able to speak. I didn't have the confidence to say. I probably sounded like I was suffering from some kind of a mental retardation when I was trying to speak in French.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I was working back in college. I had a a retail job, and there was a couple visiting from France, and they didn't know hardly any English at all.
Oh, yeah.
And they were looking for something, and I understood what they wanted. And the hardest thing was for me to convey to them what I thought they were asking, because my French is horrible.
Right.
It's I don't even say the words with the proper accent or anything, you know? You know, like when you're supposed to like learn how to use the rolling of the tongue.
Yes,
It's like very French is very, very much in here. It's all in. And I would be like, bonjour, voulez-vous français? And like, that's not how you speak.
You're doing a French Southern accent. Well, I'll say this: you do the
redneck French.
You do the French accent in English pretty good.
I do that. I have fun because I like to play.
Yeah, you got
I chase my wife around. I'm like, hey, Fifi, come over here. She's like, why you call me Fifi? I'm like, sorry, I got you mixed up with the wrong person.
Oh.
That's what the other girl likes. And she's like, wait, what? And I was like, did I say that out loud?
Did I tell you I had a relative over, talk about languages and knowing different languages and stuff. I had a relative over a couple of weeks ago come and visit that I don't really love, don't hate.
You're sort of ambivalent?
We tolerate each other. Yeah. Came by, and this relative, number one, neither one of us would get along with him because this relative does not like dogs.
Okay,
okay, not even mean. It's not that they don't like mean dogs. They don't like mean dogs. They just don't like dogs.
Yeah,
dogs are dirty. They're messy. They're annoying. They bark.
I will have nothing to do with you.
So my dog was in the house. She was walking around, as she does. And he goes, he's like, well, I really don't like dogs. Can you put the dog up while I'm here? I'm like, no, dog lives here.
Right.
You don't.
The dog the dog is my family.
Joking and laughing and stuff. And he's like, well, I'm like, why do you not like dogs? He goes, I just don't like dogs. Most animals don't get along with me. And besides, dogs are stupid. And I'm like, so you're just blanketing. I'm like, you're really starting on a great foot with me again here because I haven't talked to you in a while. So you're really gaining points. I'm like, you know what? And I started. So I'm like, let's poke this hornet's nest. This dog is smarter than you are. And he goes, what do you mean it's smarter than me? It is not. I'm like, yes, it is. How many languages do you know? He goes, well, I speak English. That's enough, living here in this country. I'm like, this dog is smarter than you because this dog speaks English and dog.
Mm-hmm. It's got two.
This dog understands English and understands dog. You only know one language. She knows two.
Right.
So there, end of story. She's already smarter. I can point out all the other things, but I don't have to.
I don't have a lot of tolerance for people who would say something like that.
Like a blanket statement
like dogs.
like that.
I mean, I get if you're allergic.
Sure, I'm allergic to cats.
Yeah.
And if I chose the two animals, I choose a dog over a cat because it's just a personal preference.
My niece came over the other day with my brother and his wife, and they were hanging out, and she has a mild dog allergy. She starts getting stuffy, and we try to keep the dogs, and she's like, no, don't worry about it. I love dogs. I'm stuffy, and I'm like, well, you want a Claritin? She goes, you got a Claritin? And so I gave her a Claritin. She was fine.
Now, that's a dog lover that will endure that to be around the dog. Isn't that
I'm
great?
kind of like that. I have to get used to my dog if I get a new one. Because I have a mild dog allergy.
I'm getting a bigger allergy to stupidity the older I get. That's what I'm really.
I have less tolerance.
770-386-1450 is our number here. It's BK on the air. If you want to call up and talk to us about anything. Hey, somebody's calling right now. It's BK on the air. Who's this?
Jeff, what's going on?
Jeff, nothing's going on, man. We're just fooling around on the radio for 2 hours. How about you?
Well, me too. Well, I learned two languages in my house, but one of them I couldn't speak. It wasn't proper.
Uh-oh. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But can you believe that guy said my dog was stupid, and I proved to him that he was stupid, my dog was smarter than he was?
You're right. Most dogs are.
They are, and they're very. And she's a courier now. She can take things from upstairs to downstairs. If somebody needs something downstairs, I'm like, here, take these socks down to mommy downstairs, and she'll grab them and take them right down and give them to her.
Well, my dogs tell me what to do all the time.
Like what? Give me an example of what your dogs tell you to do. Like feed them, I guess. Hey, I'm hungry. Let me out.
No, I got one that loves to come out on the porch, and she'll come in the bedroom and grab my arm and start pulling on my sleeve.
Let's go outside, Dad. Come on, let's go play.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
I love that.
Time to go out.
That is the sweetest thing in the world.
You out here. Come on out.
Sweetest.
Our dogs, we train them, right? Sure. Our dogs train us, too. There's two-way training going on. Absolutely.
Absolutely, they do.
All right, buddy. Good to hear from you.
Sure.
Bye-bye. Good old dogs. I love dogs. When I start talking to dogs,
somebody tells me I don't like dogs because they don't like me. Well, because that shows you just how much smarter the dog is. They already understand you're just a
dog's already ahead of you already. Hey, it's BK on there. Who's this?
This is Carl Roger. They're calling with you. I still listen to you on the radio.
Well, Carl, thanks for being out there. How you doing? We will. We won't forget. And you have a good week, the rest of your weekend, okay?
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, Carl, bye-bye.
Yeah, I thought I could hear the radio. I hear that little...
It was either that or crickets.
No, it wasn't.
Loud crickets. I
It
couldn't
was
tell
like
what it was.
a weird psycho soundtrack going on.
You can call just like they did, 770-386-1450.
Very easy to do.
Pick up the phone, give me a call, whatever you want to talk about. You can even change the subject if you want to, but we're talking dogs right now.
We'll
But,
let
hey,
you.
What I want to do, though, is go back to 1981 again. And I know that we'll talk more about this when the month gets here of August, because that's when the official anniversary is. But I saw it today, and I'm like, wait a minute. Something else turns 40 this year that I completely forgot about, and that's MTV.
Okay. I wasn't thinking about that.
40. MTV is 40
Hey, I listened to
years
all
old.
the original MTV VJs on the 80s channel.
And that's great, too. And by the way, Pandora is now, I think it's Pandora, one of the music apps that you can get, is celebrating 40 years of Duran Duran starting this year, too.
That would make sense.
Duran Duran. I think it was their album. Was it Rio? Was that their first album with Hungry Like the Wolf? It was 1981. I think
that was when that album came out. I don't know if that was their first album, but it certainly would put them on the map.
But they're celebrating, they're saying Duran Duran's 40th, so I guess their first album came out in 81, I guess, using their logic on Pandora, saying Duran Duran's 40th, so I'm like, or that our album's 40th.
Isn't that crazy to think Hungry Like the Wolf has been out
I know it was a
for
long
40
time ago.
years.
It feels like it was a long time ago. It really does. But not 40 darn years ago. I don't feel like I'm this old. I say this over and over to you, but I don't say it just as a throw-off thing to say. I really do not feel my age most of the time. I don't feel like I am. When my dad was 54 years old, I remember when he was 54, and we've talked about this too. I don't feel like I'm his age now that he was then when he was 54. I don't feel that old. I really don't. And our generation really didn't have to.
I don't feel as old as my dad when my dad was 30.
When my dad was 20.
My dad just always seemed like he was older. My dad just always.
Well, he was.
He was
always
more
older.
serious. He was military. He was always focused.
And
didn't joke around a lot. I was like, oh, is that what dads do?
Well, my dad was military, but he wasn't a career military guy. But my dad did joke around a lot. I think my mom tells me constantly. She goes, "You got that stupid, goofy, comedic, wacko gene from your dad." I'm like, well, good. That's what my dad helped me get on do radio. This stupid thing I do every Saturday. I can thank my dad's. It's not that there's no way. There's every way that I could come from his loins.
No way.
Every way, not no way. I know that my dad's my dad.
A reversal.
There's no doubt that my dad. I was not adopted. Sometimes I think, man, wouldn't it be nice if Mom comes up to me and goes, it's a good time for us to break this to you, but it was a tough situation back in the day. I think you're old enough to know about it now. You're in your 50s. You were adopted. And I'd be like, yes, I knew it. I was adopted. But no, I'm not adopted. Anybody that knew my dad and our voices even sounded alike, I took a lot from him. Got a lot of common sense and whatnot from my mom, though, so there was both of it. But I think my dad's the reason I'm on the radio talking like this every Saturday. That's part of me. My dad pushed me into my first radio job. He made me do it. He goes, you should go do that. And I'm like, I have him to thank for that.
Oh, good.
So our dads, we loved them. We came there. We'll be back.
This is Stop Thief, a computerized cops and robbers game where an electronic crime scanner gives you clues.
Door.
To catch an invisible thief.
A broken window.
What is that?
In Stop Thief, when you think you know where the thief is, make the arrest.
Here come the cops.
I think he got him.
9-volt battery not included. Stop Thief, an electronic cops and robbers game, new from Parker Brothers.
He's coming! He's coming! There's gonna be a gunfight!
There's a brand new bubble gum in town named Hubba Bubba. It's soft, juicy, and delicious. Best of all, Hubba Bubba lets you blow great, big, fat bubbles that won't stick to your face.
That's my bubble gum.
Big bubbles, no troubles.
You have a bubble gum.
Stand by for action. Anything can happen in the next half hour.
WBHF in Cartersville.
And now, back to a guy who has no idea what a call of encroachment means, but he knows what roughing the listener is all about. It's BK on the air.
Hey, welcome back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. We talked earlier before the last couple of breaks about someone passing away this week, and I want to do the story about her right now. Cloris Leachman, the actress from Phyllis and the Mary Tyler Moore Show, passed away. I got this particular story about her from MeTV. Thanks to MeTV for this article. We use MeTV. If you haven't checked them out, MeTV.com. That's where a lot of our quizzes for that pop quiz on Alan come from. Or MeTV. Got some great quizzes on there.
You should call them a pop quiz fail on Alan.
That's not. She did pretty good on the last one. Cloris Leachman, who broke out as nosy landlady Phyllis Lindstrom on the Mary Tyler Moore Show and got her own spinoff series. Phyllis passed away at the age of 94.
It's a good life.
I hope I reach 90. I mean, I hope I reach 100. But I've always said, everybody goes, how old do you want to reach? I'm like, I want to reach as old as I can, but still retain some quality of life. I don't want to sit there with a body that won't move, with an active mind in an old folks' home in a chair that I can't do anything.
You know, there are three other actors or performers in Hollywood still influential that are in their late 90s alive still today.
I know who one of them is.
Yeah, Mel Brooks. Betty White.
That's the one I was thinking
Angela
about.
Lansbury.
Angela Lansbury. I keep forgetting how old she is. And Olivia Havilland was part of that group, too, until not too long ago.
Until last year.
Now, over her long career and accomplished TV career since then, she became the most nominated. And I didn't know some of these about Cloris Leachman. We know some of them from doing our Wilder Ride podcast about Young Frankenstein, but I'd forgotten even what we had talked about. You know, we may have brought it up. She became the most nominated woman in history of the Emmy Awards with 22 nominations, and her 8 wins gave her the title of most awarded actress in Emmy history, next to Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I did not know that. At the age of 15, Leachman earned a summer radio scholarship at the Northwestern University. She would later enroll at the school and study drama. In Evanston, she grew close to classmates like Paul Lynde and Charlotte Ray, who weirdly was in the Facts of Life, which Cloris Leachman replaced on the Facts of Life later on in the later episode, which was a big coincidence. She appeared in one of the most memorable and iconic episodes of The Twilight Zone called It's a Good Life, where Leachman played the mother of a mind-controlling young boy who played by Billy Mumy from Lost in Space.
Oh, is that the one that was remade in the movie?
Exactly, where he wished everyone to the cornfield that did bad. Yeah, that's right. They remade it for the film. But 42 years later, in 2003, the reboot of The Twilight Zone, Leachman and Billy Mumy reprised those roles from that episode in the episode called It's Still a Good Life. It was a sequel episode to that one, to the old show.
That's wild.
Leachman took home an Oscar for her stunning performance in the Peter Bogdanovich's film The Last Picture Show. The director believes the scene would be more powerful with no rehearsal in a scene that she did. So Leachman just went for it. After the first take, she said, I can do better than that. And the director said, no, you can't. You just won the Oscar. He said it before she even won the Oscar, and that's crazy. Indeed, that Oscar would become one of the actress's 23 awards and 39 nominations. Her final nomination would come in 2011 for her role in the sitcom Raising Hope. She remained incredibly active in later life and even became the oldest actress to compete on Dancing with the Stars at the age of 82. She went on that show. Have you seen the dances they do on there? You got to be in pretty good shape to go on that show and do some of those moves, because I don't know about you, but I'm a great dancer. Are you a good dancer? Can you do
I am amazing, as long as no one's looking at me.
Totally, completely joking. I cannot dance at all. Now, in recent years,
I'm also the best singer in the room as long as no one else is there.
I've heard you sing before. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
But you're a really good commentator on when something goes wrong in the editing room next door. I like the colorful metaphors you come up with that don't make it on the air. Now, a reoccurring role on the sitcom Raising Hope led to late career performances in Girl Meets World and American Gods on television. Her final on-screen television role would be as Mrs. Mandelbaum in the reboot of Mad About You in 2019. I didn't know about that either. So Cloris Leachman, what a long and fruitful and funny and interesting and talented career that lady had. Now, you and I both have our own special soft spot in our hearts for Cloris Leachman. Young Frankenstein, she's so out of nowhere in that movie, just so funny, just comes in and plays Frau Brucker with just such funny and stuff every time you say her name. I've got a list here, by the way. This is from the MeTV staff. It was an offshoot kind of a article from her. 11 things you may or may not know about Cloris Leachman. I didn't repeat some of the ones that we just talked about. These are all new facts. Let's go through them. We just talked about how she was close friends with Paul Lynde in college. I didn't know about that. She was close friends with Paul. She was in the 1946 Miss America pageant. After
I knew
becoming
that.
Miss Chicago, Leachman made the top 16 in the 20th Miss American pageant in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Another fact about Cloris Leachman, she appeared on 3 different television shows on Christmas Eve in 1962. She was on 3 different shows. As families tucked in for the night awaiting Santa in 1962, they could have watched Cloris in a guest spots on television on episodes of Saints and Sinners, Stony Burke, and the new Loretta Young show all in one evening in 1962. She was on all 3 shows. Another fact about Cloris Leachman you may or may not know, the final episodes of Phyllis and the Mary Tyler Moore Show aired on the same week. Both their shows aired on the same week, Sunday, March the 13th, 1977.
It was a spinoff from Mary Tyler, but did she still stay as a cameo on Mary Tyler Moore? Do you remember?
I don't know. I didn't watch them enough. And and sometimes I'm a spinoff guy. I like spinoffs more than original shows. That was one where I actually thought Phyllis was a funnier show than Mary Tyler Moore. Mary Tyler Moore was a classic sitcom, and I won't argue with anybody on that. But she was funnier than Mary Tyler Moore because Mary Tyler Moore was more of a straight person. She was a straight guy. Everybody else was funny that surrounded her. She just had to put up with all the wackiness. Mm-hmm. Phyllis was so funny. I even liked when Andy Griffith, I loved the Andy Griffith show, but the spinoff, Gomer Pyle, USMC, I liked even more because I think I grew up watching it first and went, oh, this is from another show. So I have a soft spot for the spinoff there. In fact, she has more Primetime Emmy Awards than any other actor. She has earned 23 awards and 39 nominations, which is incredible. We talked about that. She also played Granny. People forget this. She played Granny in the Beverly Hillbillies. The movie adaptation came out in 1993. She has appeared on television in 8 decades of television.
That's amazing.
She earned her first on-screen credit for the work on the Ford Theater Hour in 1948. Recently, she appeared in American Gods, as we just talked about when we said that earlier. That's an adaptation of Neil Gaiman's dark fantasy novel, which airs on Starz. You can see that on the Starz network. 80 years.
That's awesome.
I mean,
that is somebody who
alone
found what she loved and was able to last an entire career. And she went with
funny.
it.
And people also forget something else they forget. She was in the original Wonder Woman with Linda Carter. So Cloris Leachman.
Hera? Was she Hera?
She might have been. I have to look up her character name. But what a career. I mean, we talk about careers of other people that passed away, some of the older ones, when they're not quite as old as Cloris Leachman, but 94 years old. I want to live to be. I want to make a dent in life. I want to make a mark out there.
It's not just live till your 90s, which is great. But like you said, you're still doing things. She was still active. I know she was on social media. She still was going on interviews. She was still active, and that's important to me.
And I'll suggest 2 things that people can go out there and watch immediately, just clips on YouTube of something. If you want to just see her being Cloris Leachman, you can watch all the movies you want. But there's one where they held a Mary Tyler Moore reunion when Mary was still alive a few years back. Look for that. Just put Mary Tyler Moore reunion with the original cast, and you'll see it. Of the cast that was still alive, even when they did this, Ted Knight has already passed away, and maybe another cast member. But I think he's the only one that's not there. And she's on there. When she comes on, she's just as funny in person, talking to the cast about remembering things on the show and stuff. And also watch, there's another one you can watch. It's when they got Mel Brooks together with, I don't know if Gene Wilder was there. I think Gene Wilder had already passed away, but Mel Brooks is at I think it's the Paley Center in California. They do a lot of reunions of things. And I think it's the Paley Center talk with Mel Brooks reunion about Young Frankenstein. And Cloris Leachman is there with him. It's just from a few years ago where they're reminiscing about how much. And I think Terry Garr is there, too. And she's talking about how much Gene Wilder got on her nerves and stuff, which is funny, too. But Cloris Leachman is on it. Is the reason I bring it up. And she's funny as heck on there on that.
Is that the one where she points out to her 15-year-old granddaughter in the audience? She goes, now, there's a joke here about knockers in the movie, and for you probably don't know what that actually means. And she goes and embarrasses her granddaughter.
But
that was
that's
funny.
Just a couple of things other than her TV show and all the movies that she's been in.
That was Leonard Maltin was the host.
Was it? Was he? Did he host that one?
I thought it was Leonard Maltin was hosting.
It might have been. I just have to go watch.
Was it 2016? I think.
Yeah, I think
it was 2016.
Years ago, yeah, but it was funny. So if you want to watch a couple things with Cloris on there, watch it. It's pretty cool. Speaking on there, stay tuned. We'll come back with more.
It's Godzilla. dangerous times.
Godzilla's out there and he's hurting people, and we don't know why.
There's something provoking him that we're not seeing here.
I'm of the same opinion.
The myths are real. There was a war. And they're the last ones standing.
I keep reaching for greatness because I'm built from it.
Who bows to who?
Nobody gonna stop me.
Kong bows to no one.
Godzilla versus Kong. The trailer came out, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. It came out this week. The first trailer for the big Monster Mash blockbuster Godzilla vs. Kong has set equally enormous viewership records for Warner Brothers. Godzilla vs. Kong new trailer becomes the biggest debut ever for Warner Brothers after reaching 15.8 million views in 24 hours on the WB's YouTube channel and 9.8 million on the legendary Warner Brothers UK, Godzilla vs. Kong, and HBO Max Twitter accounts. 25.6 million across all platforms, beating the Batman's 22 million and Dune's 20.8 million. Godzilla vs. Kong's performance has been impressive on YouTube, where it's still trending now as number 2 most viewed videos of the whole platform. 24 hours in, showing no signs of slowing down. With 10.8 million, marketing campaign for Godzilla vs. Kong kicked off with the bang. With its first trailer, I watched it. I heard it was coming out. It was Sunday. That's right. It was last Sunday. It also revealed new plot details, including that Godzilla and Kong's rivalry dates back to ancient times. So they've known each other for a while, back when they were smaller. For those worried that the
back
trailer,
in high school when they were making fun of each other.
Was it elementary school or high school? It could have been even
It could have
before
been high. You know, that's usually that's the weird years. You know,
hit him with Kong's,
Godzilla stuffed. You know, put Kong in his locker,
hit
and so
hit him
Kong
with a big notebook,
putting Nair in his shampoo and.
Wow,
and
you say that like that happened to
then
you.
The next thing you know, they put the saran wrap over the toilet, and he goes to go to the bathroom, and it doesn't go because he thought it was clear. And then
were you a nerd in school? Did they do that to you?
No, I'm just.
Did they do that
I've seen
to you?
movies. I've seen this movie.
Did they do that to you? Really?
No.
Now, for those worried that the trailer spoiled too much of the fun and showed too much of the movie, Godzilla vs. Kong director Adam Wingard has reassured fans that there are plenty of surprises still in store. Quote, "I'm beyond thrilled to be able to share the insane, epic mayhem. I know it looks like it shows a lot, but it's only the tip of the monster iceberg," he wrote, by the way, with a smiley face.
Does Kong get a battle axe later, or does he get to wield a weapon?
The trailer. He had it in the trailer.
He was doing something with it.
No, he has a battle axe in the trailer.
Is that what it is?
It's a big piece of something. It looks like an axe. Because Kong is a mammal. He can use tools. That's probably the one thing that he can do that Godzilla can't do. Because Godzilla has tools inside of his body, which kind of helps. Because it's going to be a romp either way. Directed by Adam Wingard and written by Eric Pearson and Max Borenstein, Godzilla vs. Kong stars Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, reprising her role again from Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Rebecca Hall from Iron Man 3, and Brian Tyree Henry. The film arrives in theaters and on HBO Max. Why they do it on HBO at the same time, I'll never understand. On March the 31st. They've actually moved the release date up for Kong. They actually moved the release date for Godzilla vs. Kong up, which I thought was cool. They're wanting it to come out a little earlier. I was excited for the trailer. I like the monster universe, as they call it. The first Godzilla movie that they did with Elizabeth Olsen from Marvel, WandaVision, and the guy that played Quicksilver. I can't remember his name, but they were in the first Godzilla movie of this trilogy of Godzilla films. I actually like the sequel better, Godzilla King of Monsters. I thought it was better than that one, but the new Godzilla universe, I'm in.
Which one had Bryan Cranston?
I really liked it. That was the first one.
With, I liked
Elizabeth
that
Olsen.
one.
Yeah,
that one was good.
That was good.
The second
these are
one
all connected together. Oh, I love the second one. The second one was even better, in my opinion. This is where you and I differ on these
Kong
movies.
Skull Island. I was waiting for it to be good.
I love Kong Skull Island. I didn't have to wait for it to be good. It was good from the first when it opened. I thought
you
it was
were just
great.
eye candy. Sometimes does that for you.
I thought it was fantastic.
You just like that.
No,
it's okay.
It had a story. It was.
Transformers was eye candy for some. I still think those suck too.
I hated Transformers. I'm with you. I'm on board with Transformers.
Terrible.
I didn't like those. No, but you would love the Transformers ride at Universal though.
Probably
because it's better than the film. Of course, that doesn't take much, but Yeah. So
By the
Godzilla
way-
versus Kong. I'm Team Kong. Sorry, I will be Team Kong.
Well, because it's from America. You got to be Team America.
Well,
because
Kong.
the Japanese invented Godzilla.
Kong's invented in America, but he's not from America. He's from a foreign island. But, yeah.
Toho.
Well, you know why too? I kind of gravitate toward Kong because he's kind of like us. He's a mammal with hair and fingers and stuff like that. He's kind of more like
He
us.
just
Godzilla's
seems
a big,
smarter.
Godzilla's a lizard, which I'm sure Godzilla
And he
does
likes
help
little
us.
kids.
Godzilla does help us sometimes, though.
He's like, oh, Beauty and the Beast. I kind of missed the metaphor.
Yeah. Now, we'll give you this about Kong Skull Island. What's her name? Miss Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. She was in it, and she was just, again, barely there and just terrible in it.
Why don't you put a cardboard cutout
like
and get
her
the same
at all.
performance?
Again, I always say Brie Larson, right before
It's like Kristen Stewart.
Right before Brie Larson goes on camera. Right off camera, you can't see. She has a little smokes a little something. She seems like she's way too mellow in every scene that she's in.
I'd like to help, but I'm
ready
saving
to
the
act
rest of the universe too. So,
oh my goodness,
sorry.
I run behind. It's getting close to the top of the hour and into the show. I got to do this story here. Last week, Alan mentioned, wouldn't it be nice? It was Gil Gerard's birthday last week. The guy who played Buck Rogers. Wouldn't it be nice to reboot Buck Rogers and put him on as a streaming show? Well, guess what I found out this week? It looks like they're going to do just that from sci-fi.com. George Clooney is taking an eye on the future again, this time by executive producing a Buck Rogers limited series with Legendary. According to The Hollywood Reporter and several other places, Clooney, along with his Smokehouse Pictures partner Grant Heslov, have backed the project, which is currently being written by Brian K. Vaughan, who wrote Why, The Last Man, Ex Machina, which I thought was a great movie, and Saga. This isn't Clooney and Heslov's first sci-fi foray.
Four-way, really?
Sorry.
Well,
it's a different kind of movie. Sorry.
It is Hollywood.
The two also backed Netflix Midnight Sky, which also the latest Clooney film has starred in. Buck Rogers is a sci-fi icon best known through Gil Gerard's performance of the character in the late 70s TV show. It revolves around the story of Rogers waking up 500 years in the future after being trapped in suspended animation. Buck Rogers first appeared, however, in the 1928 novel Armageddon 2419 AD by Philip Francis Nolan, and first became part of a pop culture when it made it into a 1930s John F. Dial comic strip.
Mm-hmm.
Where exactly Buck Rogers chills out for centuries has varied over the IP's many incarnations. Nolan's original story, here's how he originally went into suspended animation. This is the original story, which was changed for the late 70s show. He was trapped in suspended animation at the bottom of a coal mine in Pennsylvania. For example, while the 1979-81 TV show, he froze in his spaceship in deep space for 5
didn't it get
centuries.
lost or something? And
He
then
did.
Yeah.
They were experimenting an experimental engine to take him really fast, and it malfunctioned. Now, how Vaughn decides to handle Buck Rogers' Rip Van Winkle years remains to be seen. What also remains to be seen is who will take on the role of Rogers himself. Though they note that Clooney is producing the series as a potential starring vehicle, Variety is reporting that the A-lister is only attached to the project in producing capacity and will not star in it. At least that's what they're reporting it now, which is fine with me because I don't know if Clooney would be a good Buck Rogers or not.
Okay, the very first line you said was a limited series. Does that mean it's going to be a mini series?
I think so with Legendary. They don't even say where it's
so
going to
it won't be a show that will recur for season
Legendary
after season.
is tied in with Godzilla and with DC, so I'm only thinking it might be Warner Brothers or HBO Max that would have it. So no news yet on when the limited series will go into production. What we do know, however, is that Legendary hopes to use the series as a gateway to a subsequent movie if the show is a hit. So they're going to do it the opposite way. Do it as a show, then a movie, instead of a movie in the theater, then turn it into a show later. Well, they've gone that way a couple of times, so that's not that rare. It's not clear if Clooney's deal with Legendary extends to subsequent Buck Rogers projects or not. Hopefully we won't have to wait as long as Buck did for 500 years to find that out. So that's what the article says.
Well, that's kind of cool.
I just thought it was a nice coinky-dink that you mentioned Buck Rogers being it would be a good show like Lost in Space on Netflix.
Yeah.
After we talked about Gil Gerard last week, and I only found this out this week. It broke this week right after last show that we talked about that.
They were listening.
It's a good premise. It's a sci-fi premise. If you just take it at its heart, guy's frozen for 500 years. He's thrown into today's society, and we're all futuristic, and he's kind of archaic and having to adapt. It was interesting on the show, too, the way Buck Rogers, things from the past would come back to haunt him, and he had to adjust to being here.
It's just a sci-fi version of true, and they mentioned in the article, of Rip Van Winkle.
It is.
It's not a new story. It's just a new surrounding.
And people ask me, what would be worse, going back in time or going way forward in time? And I don't know. You'd have to adjust your lifestyle either way. You know, if you
we had that concept in one of our podcast episodes. Would you rather go back, you know, to meet family that died before you were ever born and just experience
like
that
many
time
years ago,
or would you want to go to the future to family you have yet to even know exist?
Well, first of all, you got to guarantee me there's a future there, because a lot of people go, I want to go forward 500 years. Or what if everything is gone and you die?
Yeah.
Have
you seen Fury Road?
Have you watched all these movies in the future? Have you seen The Time Machine?
Yeah, somebody goes, well, I'd rather go to the future because they've got cool things, and I don't want to go back in time and get dysentery. I'm like, okay, no, you're right.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
But I said, on the flip side, wouldn't you be like a genius going back in time? Wouldn't you be able to like carve your own destiny?
But still, it'd still not be worth it going back to King Arthur days with no air conditioning.
No, not King Arthur. I don't know if I'll go back that far. Maybe the Old West.
Are you talking about maybe in the 1800s or something?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, but if you had to go to the dentist, you're really majorly messed up.
Yeah. Kind of like
about
today.
that. Yeah, think about that. Well, not so much today. I mean, I went and got a root canal many years ago, and I never felt it. I thought it was great. Modern medicine, I love it. It's BK on the air. We'll see you next time.
Let's get out of here.